Shalom, shalom. It's Tehila from the Kefar with another Hebrew verb lesson. We are now on lesson 20. So we're still doing the PL form, still in the present tense, but it's just another group of PL verbs. And so we're going to use the verb to win to illustrate this new conjugation pattern. But before we do that, as always, we'll do a review of the last pattern that we did in lesson 19, where we looked at PL verbs where the last letter of the root was an aleph. Okay, so PL verbs where the root ends in an aleph. And we use the verb lemale, which means to fill, to illustrate that conjugation pattern. And so your first practice verb was lekane, which is to be jealous. As always, get rid of that initial lamed, and you are left with the three letters of your root, kuf, nun, and aleph, and that gives us kine as our root. So the masculine singular is mekane, and you're literally just replacing the lamed in the infinitive with a mem. So the infinitive to be jealous is lekane, and then he is jealous, or you are jealous, masculine, or I am jealous if I were a male, would be mekane. So from lekane to mekane, masculine singular. Feminine singular is mekanet. So it's basically the masculine singular with a tav at the end. So mekane, masculine singular, mekanet, feminine singular. And then we have mekanim with our regular im, masculine plural ending. And for feminine plural, mekanot with our regular ot, feminine plural ending. So mekane, masculine singular, mekanet, feminine singular, mekanim, masculine plural, and mekanot, feminine plural. Our second verb was levate, which is to pronounce or to express. Get rid of that initial lamed, and you're left with bet, tet, aleph, bite as our root. So masculine singular, mevate, again from levate, the infinitive, to mevate, the masculine singular conjugation. And then add a tav at the end, and we get mevatet for feminine singular. Our im ending, mevatim for masculine plural, and our ot ending, mevatot, for feminine plural. And if you have any questions about that, you can look at lesson 19 where we went over it. And I'm going to go through the 4 groups that we've done so far before we get into group number 5. Okay, so if we look at the left column, it's the regular pattern that we have, levashel. So you'll see that the sound pattern in the PL infinitive verbs tends to be a, like levashel, lesachek, lemale. Okay, we have a difference here with lechakot. Okay, these are PL verbs that end in a vav tav ending. And when you find the root of the vav tav verbs, it's a little bit different. You have one extra step than you have with the other 3 groups. So with the other 3 groups, all you have to do is get rid of that initial lamed, and you're all done. With the vav tav, you get rid of the lamed, but then you also have to convert that vav tav into a hey. Okay, and so your regular sound pattern is mevashel, ae, mevashelet, aeet, mevashlim, and mevashlot. Okay, mesachek, also very similar sound pattern, ae, mesacheket, aeet, same sound pattern. You have the change with the plurals. So mesachakim and mesachakot, okay, is where we see those changes. And then for the vav tav group is different because it ends in the hey for the masculine singular and the feminine singular. So mechake and mechaka, same exact spelling, it's just a difference in the vowels. And then mechakim and mechakot is similar to our regular groups. And with group 4, we have memale, which follows the sound pattern that we have for mesachek in group 2 and mevashel in group 1. It differs with the feminine singular where we have memalet. Okay, so we still have the tav at the end, but it's a slightly different sound pattern than we have for mevashelet and mesacheket. Here we have memalet, so it's a different sound pattern. And then we go back to normal with memalim and memalot, following our regular sound pattern. All right, so now we are going to get into our new group. So far, you know that we've done our regular groups, levashel, levakesh, leshalem. Then we did our acha, PL verbs, and their verbs where the middle letter of the shoresh is an aleph, hey, chet, or ayin. So for instance, lesachek, letaer, lemaher. And then we did our group 3, our vav tav PL verbs, where the last 2 letters of the infinitive are vav tav. And then we convert the vav tav into a hey to get the 3rd letter of our root. And we use the verbs lechakot, legalot, and lekavot. And then the last one that we did in the last lesson are PL verbs where the infinitive ends in an aleph. So lemale, lekane, and levate. So the group that we are going to do now, and if you've been following the lessons from the beginning, you'll see that a lot of these group names, they mirror each other. So you should probably remember them from when we did the pa'al verbs, that even though they are different binyanim, they sort of have similar rules. Okay, so this group that we're going to do now are verbs where the root ends in an ayin or a chet. Okay, so these are ayin chet verbs. And we are going to use the verb lenatseach, which means to win, to illustrate this pattern. Okay, so this is the infinitive lenatseach. So step 1, which you already know this, I'm sure you can do it in your sleep at this point, is to get rid of that initial lamed. And once you get rid of that lamed, you have your root, which is nitzach. Now, for our conjugation pattern, for masculine singular, it's m, because you know that with all of these PL verbs, you're replacing the lamed in the infinitive with a mem. So m, a, e, a is your masculine sound pattern. M, a, e, a. For feminine singular, it's m, a, at. Okay? For masculine plural, it's ma'im, and feminine plural is ma'ot. So, first one, masculine singular, m'natseach. Our sound pattern is m'a'e'a, m'natseach. Okay, m'natseach. Our feminine singular sound pattern is m'a'at. So we have m'natzachat. Okay, m'natzachat. M'a'im, m'natzchim, and me'aot, menatzchot. Okay, so masculine, menatzeach, feminine, menatzachat, masculine plural, menatzchim, feminine plural, menatzchot. So for instance, he wins or he is winning, hu menatzeach. Okay, he wins or he is winning. She wins or she is winning, he menatzachat. She wins or she is winning. Menatzachat. We are winning. Anachnu menatzchim. Okay, menatzchim is masculine plural. And again, if we're talking about a mixed group, we're also still going to default to the masculine plural. We'll use the feminine plural if we're only talking about a group of females. Like for instance, hein, which is they feminine. Hein menatzchot. They are winning or they win. Okay, menatzeach, a, menatzachat, at, menatzchim, aim, menatzchot, aot. Okay, and again, just to show you a little comparison. So we have here our special case where the root ends in, we said either chet or an ayin. In this case, it's a chet. And so for our masculine singular, it's pretty similar. We just have the mem in the front and then the rest of the shoresh. So mevashel, memale, menatseach. We have an additional vowel sound. So mevashel, memale, menatseach. And then mevashelet, memalet, and menatzachat. So we have 3 different sets of vowels here. Group 1, the regular group, was mevashelet, so e. Then we have memalet, so ae. And then menatzachat, so a. And then for the masculine plural and the feminine plural, they're pretty similar across the board. Mevashlim, memalim, menatzchim, and mevashlot, memalot, menatzchot. Okay, so really the differences are with the masculine singular and the feminine singular. All right, so as always, leaving you with some exercises so you can practice these using what you learned today. Find the roots of these two verbs and then conjugate them in the present tense. And so your two verbs are lesameach, which is to please or to make happy, and then levatzea, to execute or to perform. Okay, so lesameach, which ends in the chet, and levatzea, which ends in the ayin. Okay, and so we're going to cover these exercises in the next video, which will be posted on Patreon. So if you are a patron, you will be able to see the next video and have the answers to the exercises. And then we're also going to do a review of all of the PL groups that we have done so far. In addition, I am also doing monthly live Q&As for the verbs. These are going to be once a month, again on Patreon. So if you are not a patron, please check it out. I'm now on Patreon. And so Patreon, if you are not familiar with it, is basically a site where you can support content creators and then in exchange have access to exclusive videos or downloads. In my case, it will be both. And so a lot more content will be available on Patreon than on YouTube. So if you don't want to miss out, then definitely check it out. And if you have any questions, you can let me know. The link is down below for your convenience, and it's also in the description box of the video. So that wraps it up. Toda ala tzfiya. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, like it, share, subscribe to the channel. Sharing is really helpful, and please consider becoming a patron. And if you have any questions, as always, you can leave them in the comments or you can send me an email. So until next time, shalom.